Hello, welcome to the Pop Vulture channel. I'm Amanda Castro and I will be interviewing Pop Vulture himself. First of all, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to do this. I'm sure we all want to know who came up with the idea for Pop Vinyls and how did they wind up at Funko, and also when did all this transpire that you know of?
Well, Funko, to my knowledge, started in 1998 with a guy named Mike Becker. Funko Pops originally were bobbleheads, and now they became something where they incorporate bobbleheads just to some pop figures. Like I think Disney incorporates the springs to their bobbleheads now, but some other companies or other characters don't incorporate the spring action to their bobbleheads anymore. But they are known because of the bigger heads, you know what I'm saying, and the different styles. I think it came a long way, you know, with the designs and all that stuff. I think that Pops have gotten way better with the paint apps, but a lot of people like the original stuff better. You know what I'm saying? The original stuff is more valuable than the newer stuff. For some apparent reason, I'm feeling like nowadays the newer things are just saturating the market. You know what I'm saying? It's becoming like repetitive. It's easy for people to get the new things versus the old things. The old things are just so valuable and people just hold on to it for a very long time where you can't even find stuff. For example, like a Skeletor. A Skeletor is super hard to find. A He-Man is super hard to find, and if you do find it, you're going to pay a pretty penny for them. You know what I'm saying? Like one of them probably be valued at like $180 to $200. You know what I mean? So stuff like that.
So vinyl figures have historically have normally been a very niche product. And why do you think Pop Vinyls have caught on fire with toy collectors such as yourself?
To be honest, I think that it's just a part of pop culture. You know what I'm saying? Everybody that's into pop culture just gets attracted to these pop figures. Not just that, I think it's an outlet for people to lose themselves with their favorite characters, their favorite series. You know what I'm saying? Because Pops, they do a figure for anything that's out. You know what I mean? They do figures for comic books, movies, series on TVs, but I think the real reason people really get focused and addicted to collecting these things is because they're cheap. You know what I'm saying? That's the reason, because they're cheap. You know, because somebody like me, I like collecting Hot Toys. I like collecting DC Direct, Bowen statues, sideshow collectibles. Those pieces, people do buy, but people got to drop $300, $400, $500 on these pieces versus a Pop that'll cost you $9.99 at a Barnes and Noble. For $12.99 at a not a Target, but at a GameStop, you know. So, and especially if you go to like Hot Topic charge you 3 for $27. You know, take 3 for $27 versus a statue that'll cost you $400. So I think that, you know, the Pop game right now is super saturated, as I said, but it's easier for the young crowd. You know what I'm saying? Who can ask mommy or daddy for $20 to get into it. You know, once they get into it, it's just. That's it. It's non-stop because it's so cheap.
Okay. What makes them special?
What makes them special to me? What makes them special to me are the certain characters that I collect. You know what I mean? In the beginning of me collecting these Funko Pops, I was just collecting anything. You know what I mean? It didn't matter what it was. If it was coming out, I was buying everything. I was buying the whole series of something that I didn't even understand. For example, like a Star Wars. You know, yeah, I like Star Wars when I was a kid, but I don't like Star Wars now. So they came when I just started collecting Pops. It was just like, all right, Star Wars is coming out, let me go buy it. But now, now that I became more aware of how easy to get a Pop is, I kind of chilled out and slowed down. So I collect the things that I do like. But the things that I like to collect now that intrigue me are things that bring me back to my childhood. You know, and that's what I like. What Funko does with their Pops is that they put out characters from back in the 80s, the 90s. You know, early 2000s, and I could relate to those type of characters because I was a child once. And for me to get something that's collectible, not just to play around with, because I don't play around with toys anymore, but I could live through, you know, having a figure in a box like this displayed on my mantle, just brings me appreciation for the things that I used to love. You know, watching them on TV or reading them in a comic book, you know, stuff like that. So I can relate to a lot of these characters here because it always takes me back to my childhood memories.
What upcoming products are you excited about?
In regards to Pops, or in regards to collectibles?
Answer both.
In regards to Pops, I'm excited right now that they decided to drop another line of Thundercats. Not just the Thundercats, but I'm also excited for the Masters of the Universe line that already dropped. They came out with a Skeletor again, you know, the He-Man again. And there's one in particular that I want to get in Target. It's the He-Man exclusive for Target, you know, which is a part of the Masters of the Universe wave. In regards to collectibles, I'm excited to get a few things that I have on pre-order with Sideshow Collectibles. I'm just so intrigued with the amount of articulation that these figures incorporate, especially with the great materials that they put into these characters. And they make you feel like it's not just a display piece, but an actual figure that you can, you know, pose, and it's just a different experience, you know what I mean? But I do appreciate everything that Funko was doing, as well as other collectibles that I collect in my collection at the moment.
Okay. And what's it like to have so many social media users following you because of your love of Pops?
I appreciate everybody. What's it like? I feel that it makes me like what I do. You know, I like to go out there and do pop hunts, as they call it. Not just pop hunts. I like to collect stuff and display stuff on my channel that people can't get their hands on. You know, so it makes me feel appreciated by not just the viewers, but by other people. You know, when I display one of these pieces on my channel, because some people, like, you know, the younger kids, they don't have access. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, to spend money on these things. So for me to go out there and buy something that'll run somebody $300-400, or maybe they can't, or maybe some people can't even buy a pop that costs $12, because I know I've been there. You know, when I was younger, when I couldn't even get $2 for something. You know, for me to get something that's $12 and put it on my channel so that they can see that it looks dope, they can see what it took for me to go out there and try to find this piece. I really appreciate that, and I appreciate the viewers that follow me on my channel. But that's what I want to bring to the table. I want to keep bringing that to the table so that they can have access to the things that probably some people can't have access to.
Okay. And now I'm going to ask you a couple of personal questions for your viewers that might not know a couple of things about you. So, when did your interest for Pops spike?
My interest for Pops, man, I could say that it began with Spider-Man. My youngest son, Matthew, he must have been maybe 4 or 5 years old. He took me into a Toys R Us one time. Excuse me. And I was looking for like a Spider-Man figure for him. And the whole Marvel section, Spider-Man, they had a Spider-Man Pop. For some apparent reason, he wanted that toy. That was the first one I bought, and from then on, I always held on to that one, as well as one of the Batmans and a Captain America as well. So I always held on to them. I never got hardcore into them until I think about a year, almost a year now. You know, but I always had an interest in them because I saw that their designs got better with time. I think back then when I first got that Spider-Man for my young son, he brought it home, and I really didn't think anything of it. It was just a bobblehead, you know. But then as time went on, I started seeing that they kept, you know, just the wave of these things are just coming out, and the design quality, I think, for me, got better. The box art got better, and just the people that started going crazy and standing on these lines early in the morning, because these people go 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. You start seeing the popularity just, you know, go up like that. You start asking yourself, you know what, this is probably something I want to get myself into. This is probably something that is probably going to be of value in the future. And you know, I like the challenge, you know. So when I collect these things and I go on a pop hunt, I kind of like the challenge of finding shit that people can't find. You know what I mean? And that kind of brings me to a different level when it just comes for me just go to like the store and get anything. Because anybody go to the store and find, get anything, but the accomplishment of going to Hot Topic and finding a Chase, or Barnes and Noble finding a Chase and stuff like that, is pretty cool. It brings you joy. You know what I mean? It's like a drug. It's an addiction to do these type of things. You know, that's why they call it pop punch. Some people just go out there and just spend $30 on a Chase. I like to go to a store and dig for my shit and try to find these special, you know, chases, as they call them. Some of these chases are valued high. You know what I'm saying? But the market fluctuates. It goes up and down all the time. So, you know, it's fun. It's fun. I like doing it.
Okay, now we're going to start up on a 20 questions type of dynamic.
20 questions?
Yeah. So what's your first memory?
My first memory?
Your oldest memory.
Of?
Anything.
Of anything? My oldest memory would have to be anything that pops in my head right now. All right, my oldest memory is being in Spanish Harlem in New York, waking up early on a Saturday morning and my grandmother in the kitchen cooking white rice and fried eggs. That's the first thing that pops into my head right now.
Latinos, huh?
Yeah.
Who's the oldest relative you remember, and what do you remember about them?
My oldest relative that I remember would be my grandmother, and that's why I think she popped up in my head with the prior question. I remember she was a great person. She held the family together. She was the backbone of our family. She was the one that everybody looked up to, you know, not just for guidance, but for love. And she was just always there for everybody. You know, she was very giving and understanding. And yeah, that's my oldest relative, and I remember everything about her. She was just a genuine type of person.
Okay. How did your family celebrate holidays when you were a kid?
Oh man, when I was a kid, my family celebrated holidays, especially like Christmas. We used to have these things called parrandas. Parrandas.
Roll that R.
I can't do it because I wasn't raised in PR. I was raised in New York. So parrandas are like, you know, you got like the, you know, what is it, Christmas Eve? Mm-hmm. Everybody start knocking on each other's doors and come with the pots and pans and start banging them and just, you know, being happy. And then we would go to each and everybody's house and just collect a bunch of gifts or distribute gifts, you know, to our neighbors and stuff like that. But it was a joyful time where it was an era where people loved each other, even if they wasn't related to you. You know what I'm saying? We just had that unity, that bond with people that were just outsiders. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was family in the 80s and 90s, you know, early 90s. You know, people appreciated other people, you know what I mean? And they loved each other if they were from the same neighborhood.
How did you meet your significant other?
We met at McDonald's. You know, I ordered some food. I was doing a refresher course for the EMS system in New York City. So at McDonald's, I ordered the plane number 2. Boom, that was my favorite at the time, with barbecue sauce. I turned around and she was there smiling and giggling with her friends. I guess she was on lunch break too. I sat down to eat my food. I felt the tap on my shoulder as I was eating my food. It was a guy that cleans McDonald's. You know, he came up to me, he handed me a piece of paper, and I looked at it, and it was a message. You know, it was like, yeah, I think you're cute, Erica. Call me. So I didn't think too much of it. At the time, I was going through a bunch of things. I had a lot of things on my mind. I was actually gonna, you know, disregard everything and just keep it moving. But something told me, you know, approach her, say hi, introduce yourself, and you know, that was it. You know, like 2 or 3 days later, I called her, and that was it.
Tell me about Matthew's birth that day, how it was for you.
Matthew's birth, the day, it was cool, man. It was scary. You know, I was still in my 20s. I was in bed. I think I had just came out of working that night. I worked like an overnight. At that time, I was working in Brooklyn. So I had worked the overnight, came home, and I was knocked out early in the morning. Erica had went to work, and I got woken up by a phone call, and it was Erica's friend. She called me and she was like, "Yo, wake your ass up. Today's the day," you know, and boom, that was it, you know. But the day itself, after I went to the hospital and saw Matt come out and all, it was real. It was a good day for me, you know. I was like, I was a new dad, and it was real special to me, and it just to hold them and all that, it was like a different experience. It felt better than collecting, you know what I mean? It felt better than collecting. It felt better than anything in the world, because I knew that this little dude was looking up to me now, you know what I'm saying? Like, I never thought that I would be a dad at that age. I always thought that I would be a dad at the age of like 40, you know, something like that. So for it to happen at the age of like 26, I think I was 26 or 27, it's still not a bad age, but I was scared too. I was happy and scared at the same time, because I knew, you know, that now I had to step up. Now I had to do my thing. Now I had to stop buying things that I love and start providing, you know, so for somebody else. Make sure that they're happy before I'm happy. You know what I'm saying? But it was cool.
What were your favorite school subjects, if any?
My favorite school subjects, if any? A lot of people don't know this about me, you know what I'm saying? But my favorite school subject was art. I loved art. You know, I always liked to draw. I always liked to, I always appreciated graffiti art, you know what I mean? I always appreciated any type of art, and I was always intrigued by people that knew how to draw portraits, you know what I mean? Self-portraits. Or there was a time period in my life where I was in high school, and I got into graffiti myself, and just, you know, the amount of talent that's that's out there is ridiculous. A lot of people don't know. You can look at anybody, you know, you can look at somebody and just judge them, but you know, when you see people's talents, they'll just you know, change your whole mindset on these people. And art was my favorite subject in school, you know what I mean? And you know what, my kids got that from me too, because I think my kids love art as well, you know, and that's probably one of the reasons I collect stuff like that, because I love the art that comes into these things, you know, the colors, and just the people that design these things. You know, art is just amazing. You know, art is all over everything.
And your favorite teacher?
My favorite teacher? I say, damn. Let me see if I remember their names. Mr. Pollock. Mr. Pollock was my favorite teacher. He was my art teacher. He was an art teacher. He was bald, glasses. He wore one of those little aprons, not the full apron, but a little apron with a bunch of pencils and erasers. And he was hardcore with the art. And he was, and I remember him. It's crazy that I remember him because he wasn't in junior high school. He wasn't in high school. He was a teacher from primary school. Yeah, when I was like maybe in like fourth grade or something. Like, I still remember him because he was just that great. You know what I mean, Mr. Pollock. My worst teacher, I don't know if you got that question for me, but my worst teacher.
That was the next one.
My worst teacher, oh my God, Mrs. Briggs. I can never forget Mrs. Briggs. She was a math teacher and she was just hard on everybody. You know what I mean? Like I don't think that she got pleasure of teaching you. She got pleasure of messing with you. You know what I mean? She was just horrendous. She was horrible, and she made you feel very, very little. You know what I mean? I don't think I learned anything in her class, Mrs. Briggs, for real. And I tried. Mrs. Briggs is horrible. So Mrs. Briggs, if you ever watch this video, you didn't teach me jack shit.
Oh my God. Okay, and tell me about some of your friends, old and new.
Well, my old friends, man. Frey, also known as Free Ram, you know, he's a family. I mean, I don't see these dudes as my friends, you know what I mean? I see them as my family. But we a tight clique. Yeah, we are separated now because we grew up and we got families and responsibilities and stuff. But I think that if anything was to pop off, I could make a phone call and we all come together as one again. So yeah, Frey was just a nut. He was crazy. Joey Lala, you know, himself too. He got a career now in New York City, but I keep in touch with all of them. John, who else? There's a bunch of us, man. So I apologize if I missed some names, but I know that we have a tight clique, and I love each and every one of them as they were my brothers. You know what I'm saying? As far as new friends, I make friends anywhere I go. You know, I'm a magnet for people. I met the whole Alliance team, the people on YouTube, and I learned a lot from them. And we got a tight chat group as well. You know, we always going back and forth. So I feel, even though I never met these people, I feel like I always knew them. You know what I'm saying? And I only been, you know, keeping in touch with these people maybe like 4 or 5 months. But I feel that we grew up together, you know what I mean? And that's how I feel with my old friends, you know, and I like that connection. And that's why I maintain the logo, I maintain the name, the Alliance and all that shit, because it's something special. It's something special and unique, man. You know, and I think we do have that bond and brotherhood and sisterhood and all that. You know, it's pretty dope. The Alliance, man.
Okay. Describe to me your first job.
My first job, I was working at, what was it called? Oak Tree. My first job was called Oak Tree in the Manhattan Mall on 34th Street. Oak Tree was a clothing store, a clubbing clothing store. That's what it was for men. So one day I walked into Manhattan Mall because I used to like going to Manhattan Mall just to look at girls, as any teenager would. You know, we used to go there in a squad, like 10 of us all the time after school. And there was a dude that, you know, he was, I think he was gay. And he was handing out like cologne in front of the store, you know, with the little things. And the music was pumping from the store. And I guess he caught interest in how I was dressing and all that. That he was like, yo, if you want to work, you know, apply. I was a teenager. I didn't know any better. And he was looking for somebody. And he hired me on the spot. That was my first job.
And what did you do with your first paycheck?
Oh, my first paycheck, I blew it on a bunch of things that I've been blowing it on. You know what I'm saying? That's what I did. I bought clothes and things that I was doing at that time. That's what I did. I didn't care. You know what I'm saying? I didn't care. I was living with my parents. My parents were taking care of me. So my first paycheck was my first paycheck. And they didn't ask for no money or nothing like that, you know. so I could do whatever it is I want with my check at that time. But now, shit, I can't do that stuff anymore. You know what I'm saying? I got to make sure that I take care of the house and the bills, and you know what I'm saying, and buy some pop sometimes when I could. I can't go all out the way I used to.
Yeah. And now on a more personal note, who are some of your heroes, your personal heroes, dead or alive?
My hero? My dad, man. My dad is my hero, man. My dad taught me a lot. He taught me how to be strong. He taught me how to be a leader and not a follower. He taught me that that money has a lot of value. He taught me that family is very important, and I miss him, man. You know what I'm saying? I miss my pop. I think he's my hero. As far as anybody else, I think my other hero would be my girl, man. You know what I'm saying? My girl's my other hero. Yeah, for a lot of other reasons.
Good. And fictional?
Fictional heroes? Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks is my hero. You know what I'm saying? Tom Hanks is every time I watch a Tom Hanks movie, you know, he makes me feel good. You know what I mean? He makes me laugh. If it's a serious role, he makes me feel I don't know, I just feel Tom Hanks is one of these great actors. He could play any role, but his movies just have feelings to them. You know what I'm saying? A lot of things that I can relate to with his movies, and just the type of person that he is, man. He looks like a real humble type of person, and that's the type of person I am too. You know what I'm saying? So Tom Hanks. I mean, he's a real person, but he plays a lot of you know, characters.
Inspirational characters.
He's very inspirational. You know, Forrest Gump. You know, when he played in the movie Big, I love that movie. You know, there's a lot of movies that Tom Hanks has done that I can always just sit down and be like, yo, boom, I feel better now. I could watch a Tom Hanks movie and just be depressed and just feel better. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So he's a hero to me. Okay,
and where were you when you heard that President Kennedy was shot, and how did you feel about that?
President Kennedy, when he was shot, I didn't feel anything about it. You know what I'm saying? I don't even think I was born yet. I heard, I mean, the things that I've read about him, he was a great president and everything like that. He was loved by many, and he did a lot for our country. But at that time, I didn't care, you know, about politics and all that stuff. I mean, now as an adult, I care a little bit, not much. My main focus on other things and stuff. But I feel I feel for him for being shot, and I feel for his family. You know, I wish we did have another president like that did a lot for our country, and that brought a lot of good things to the table. You know, it's nice having a president that you could look up to, and I know that at that time period, people looked up to him.
Okay. Tell me about some of your favorite songs, books, movies, television shows.
As far as songs, I'm always gonna go. I mean, if we talk about rap, my favorite songs are songs from like Wu-Tang. You know, Wu-Tang, Raekwon, Ghostface, Cypress Hill, NWA. A lot of people from that era. You know what I mean? And the reason for that is because I can relate to a lot of the songs. A lot of the things that they talk about in their music is the things that I went through or the things that I did. That I'm not happy about the things that I did, but I've been through that type of lifestyle. As far as books, I don't read too much. I know that I did read a book one time. It was called A Boy Called It, or The Lost Boy, or something like that. The Boy Called It. That one, and that one made me cry. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because I've seen a lot of kids that I grew up with, you know, go through stuff like that. And I don't want to see anybody go through stuff like that. You know, I feel for a lot of kids that aren't as fortunate as other people. You know, I'm not saying that I didn't have my share of tough times growing up, you know, because I got my ass whooped too, you know, and all that stuff. But it wasn't as bad as that kid in that book. So that book right there is something that I recommend a lot of people to read, because if they feel like they're going through some hard times and stuff like that, read that book and, you know, put yourself in other people's shoes. You know, because you never know. You know, the next person it could always be worse. You know, me right now, I'm going through a lot of stuff. You know, on a personal tip, sometimes, you know, with the things that I'm going through that I don't even want to talk about. But you got to think about that book. You know, that's a book that I could think about and be like, yo, that's worse than my situation. So you got to appreciate what you got, or the things that you're going through at the moment. You know what I mean? If you're going through some good things, and you know, or you're going through a little bit of bad times, think about the people that got it worse, man.
Okay, and is there anything you would like to say before you wrap up?
Yeah, I would like to say, you know, I appreciate, you know, everybody that watches my channel. I appreciate everybody that wants to keep me growing. I appreciate my whole Alliance team. I want people to continue supporting me and all of us. You know, I got a lot of new things that I got ideas for, and I hope that people follow in our footsteps. You know, the other day I had a stream where I was talking about I want to be different. You know what I mean, from the next person. I don't just want to go to the store and show you a bunch of boxes and then put it up on a video. I want people to know that, you know, when they get a Pop Vulchurz video, they're gonna get a video that's way different. A video that they can click on and be like, yo, you know what? He's serious sometimes, he's funny sometimes, and he collects sometimes. You know what I'm saying? I want it to be different. I want it to be versatile. I want people to learn that Pop Vulchurz, yo, it's not just a YouTube channel, but a brand. You know what I mean? A brand that might blow up one day. You know what I mean? I got some merchandise that I'm working on right now. I got some ideas that I'm working on with my team, and hopefully we could be bigger than what it is now. Right now, I think I'm at like 500 subscribers, which isn't nothing, you know what I mean? Because I see people with thousands or millions of subscribers, you know, for doing bullshit, you know what I mean? Because I see a lot of people just do bullshit. They don't do dope fucking videos. Some people just fucking prank people and they become, you know, big because people want to watch people get pranked and stuff like that. But in regards to collecting, I want to do better. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep collecting, but I want to do better. And like I told people on my stream, I'm gonna try to incorporate movies, whether it be in a pop hunt or a collector unboxing video. You know, I'm gonna try to incorporate bits of movies or whatever. You know what I mean? So that people could just be a little more entertained than just click and play and watching a bunch of boxes and me describing a freaking box and a pop. You know, stuff like that.
So now you know more about Pop Vulchurz and how he likes to manage things, and more about his personal life, things that you might have wanted to learn about. So thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to have this interview done to you, and we will see you next time.
Thank you, Amanda Castro, for the interview. Keep checking the channel, subscribe, like, comment, and share, my people. Peace out. Pop Vulchurz. One love. Boom.